Okay, I'll call to order this public hearing and regular business meeting of the mayor and council of the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, August 8th, 2016. The time is 7:35. First, we're going to have our invocation, and the invocation tonight is done by the Reverend Keenan Burba. Reverend?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, God Almighty, Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior, our Redeemer, our Regulator, the great I am that I am. We bless your name, we lift up your name high, because God, you are the Lord. Thank you so much for the officials of this city. Thank you so much for the law enforcement of this city. Thank you for everyone that is gathered here tonight. We bless your name because, God, you are worthy to receive our praises and our worship. At this very particular time, Lord, I commit this meeting into your mighty hands. Father, we believe and trust you that, God, you will take control of this gathering, so that at the end of everything, your name alone will be lifted and be glorified. And Lord and our Father, we commit the program of this gathering tonight. Bless and sanctify everything that will be executed here. We pray for your peace to be upon us. We pray for your progress and success to be upon us. Thank you, Father, for everything that you do. And we bless your name. We pray that, Lord, may you protect us. Shield us, O Lord, with your own precious blood. Thank you, Father, because, God, you will take lead in everything that we do, so that at the end of everything, your name alone will be lifted and be glorified, and your children will be blessed. We thank you for answering our prayer, for we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior, we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight will be led by Miss Senior Georgia Christine Johnson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Ceremonial matters, we have none this evening. We have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the July 25th Mayor and Council meeting.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6-0, and the minutes are accepted. Mr. Williams here tonight for the planning and zoning? No. Mr. Emanuel, Evermore CID?
At the July meeting, there were two agenda items. There was a vote for a comprehensive traffic study for $140,000 that was approved, and the board also approved a millage rate of 5 mills, which was the same as last year's. I voted against it. I felt that with the increase in the tax digest over the previous years, that a reduction was worthwhile. Nobody else agreed with me on that, surprisingly. But just to give you some idea, there has been a lot of devaluation along Highway 78. In 2010, the total digest was $181,914,436. That dropped to a low of $157,556,680 in 2012, but is back up to $171,091,530 as of 2015. There's an additional, I believe it was a 3 to 5% increase for 2016. So I felt in lieu of what the CID is providing for the property owners, which security is no longer one of those items, I felt a reduction in millage rate was appropriate. But as I said, nobody else agreed with me. So that's the latest. The next meeting is in August, and anybody wants to have some input and insight into the CID, I invite you to join.
Thank you very much, Councilman. There's no report from the Downtown Development Authority, so that will go to our public hearing. First reading, CUP 16-06. Consideration and action on application by Fine Project LLC for conditional use permit for Lash Fantasy, a beauty salon for the property zoned OP district and located in the Snellville Commons Office Development at 1561 Janmar Road, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcel 5056105. Do I have a motion?
Motion to waive the first reading on CUP 16-06 to be placed on the agenda August 22nd for the second reading and public hearing.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of waiving the first reading signify by raising your right hand. That's 6-0. We have waived the first reading. We have no consent agenda this evening. We don't have any old business, which will now take us to our new business. Second reading, ordinance 2016-13. Consideration action on amendment Article 4 of the City Code to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2016-13.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Would you like to discuss this? We have a motion and a second. Would you like to explain?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, as you know, in the Code of Ordinances, we have three boards that were created, those being the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. In each of those previously were put in penalties for individuals who missed 3 meetings or more. Of those penalties, there was no provision for excuses if anyone was ill. There also was automatically, they were prevented from ever serving on any of those boards again. So those have now been brought into conformity with this action, which will allow for excuses at the discretion of the chairman of each of those boards. Also, it does away with the automatic limiting of being able to be reappointed. However, it does leave in place, as it was, that the mayor may remove someone with the affirmative vote of 3 members of the council as well. Are there any questions from the council?
Any questions of Mr. Ross? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further discussions of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6-0. The motion carries. Next, we have consideration and action on intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority for the Wisteria property. Mr. Manuel, do you want to give us just a brief discussion of what we're doing there?
When we purchased the Wisteria property, we borrowed the money to make the purchase. That loan was a short-term loan with a balloon payment. It was paid off on June 30th. And what we're trying to do is now finance it again through a replacement loan, which will actually save the city money because it's at a lower interest rate. In order to do this, since we're working with the Downtown Development Authority, we actually have to approve this agreement to go forward and secure the loan and have the Downtown Development Authority actually be the sales agent for the property. So this is really just kind of a housekeeping task. It does need the approval of the council, which is why it's on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority for the Wisteria property.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council?
There's a resolution that was delivered to council from our office that goes with the authorization for the intergovernmental agreement. It's the document, but it is a formal resolution. I think it's been even given a resolution number in the process. And so it not only authorizes the intergovernmental agreement, it also consents to the assignment of that governmental agreement and allows the properties to all be conformed under the DDA with a restriction that none of the properties can be transferred or sold without the approval of the mayor and council, which is exactly the structure that was under in the previous loan situation. So if we could add that resolution approval to the motion.
2016-11.
Motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority for the Wisteria property with the inclusion of Resolution 2016-11.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second on that new motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in agreement, and the motion carries. That takes care of our business for the evening. Now we'll go to council reports, and we'll start with Roger Marble. Thank you, Roger. Councilwoman?
Forget my name?
No.
Okay. Wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone because it is the start of the new school year. So please be mindful of the children out, and I know you're aware of the traffic. And just be aware of little extras, little ones especially. And it's been a great day altogether. We're welcoming a new principal to South Gwinnett High School, Miss Monique Lee, and she is going to be an excellent partner to the council and the Snellville community.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bender? Councilman Emanuel?
As Christy said, school started today. I just want to remind everybody to just watch the school buses. Saw an article about the number of people who have been fined for passing the school buses when they're stopped with the red lights on. This really isn't difficult. The red lights are on. Even if you see the amber lights come on, stop. And the red lights are on, certainly stop. They do have cameras, so you can be pretty well assured you're going to get a ticket. But beyond that, I think your first consideration should be the safety of the kids. And I would err on the side of caution and just watch the kids, because you certainly don't want to be involved in an accident.
Councilman Howard?
How's everybody doing? All quiet out there. A couple of things. Those in law enforcement, public safety, whether they're on the job or retired, if you hadn't heard about this, our great friends at the Lincoln Field Station are going to have a Public Safety Appreciation Day, and specifically for our law enforcement. Retired, on duty, not on duty, you can't come over there and do that, but you know what I'm saying. Those that are currently employed doing that business. This Saturday, August 13th, come in there, and I think they're going to buy your first cigar and then give you some discounts on some other stuff. So if you know those in law enforcement, I'll forward y'all the email. If you know those, certainly invite them out, whether they're retired or whatever, and they can come on out. Cobb Cab will be there, so we'll do that. Lilburn invited me over for their National Night Out just past Tuesday. Was over there, well received. That was a real nice opportunity to get out in front of some people. Working on something coming up in December here in the city. We have our art on the wall in City Hall. I was at a recent meeting with the Snells, and they have come across some pictures that just beyond explanation how they ended up with them, but some building they were tearing down, not they, but a company that they know of, was tearing down a building in Valdosta, Georgia, and had this collection of Snellville pictures in their building down there. And then some of them are just quite fascinating. So I asked them if they wouldn't mind if we use them here. And then also I want to expand that, and I'm going to invite our Historical Society along with our Arts Commission. And we're going to have, I think it's going to work out to the where we can actually have a Snellville Historical Month, or maybe even two. And it's just going to be everything historical Snellville that we can possibly load up in the community room and put on the walls and the things. I just think it'd be kind of neat to do that. So look for that coming hopefully here in December. And again, shop local, support your community, and thank y'all for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Councilman. No mayor's report tonight. Let's move right on to public input. So public hearing, or public, come on up, come on and talk to me. So I'll just open it up for that. Anyone out there? You're all as talkative as I am tonight, huh? Okay. During a public hearing of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Witz announced that certain matters should be discussed in the closed sections of the meeting and asked council to advise the city with respect to closing the meeting. City Attorney Tony Powell advised the city of the following reasons to close the meeting: to discuss pending and/or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, and other judicial actions which is exempt from the Open Meetings Act pursuant to OCGA Section 50-14-2, subsection 1, and to authorize negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property, authorize the ordering of an appraisal related to the acquisition or disposal of real estate, enter into a contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to approval and a subsequent public vote, or enter into an option to purchase, dispose of, or lease real estate subject to approval and subsequent public vote, which is excluded from the Open Meetings Act pursuant to Section 50-14-3, subsection B, subsection 1, subsection C. They just don't make it easy for me, do they? By a motion of council member
Emmanuel.
and seconded by council member. The meeting was closed with the following members and the mayor present and voting: Tom Witz, yes; Barbara Bender,
Yes.
Dave Emanuel, Bobby Howard, Christy Lenski, Roger Marmol. Okay, we will be going into exec session. We do not foresee anything coming out of that. We won't be coming back.